Hello everybody, it's True Detective here, and in this video about those psychiatric medications, especially antidepressant drugs. And let's go back 10 years in time, 10 years backwards here to the ages when I was about 20 years old. And now, me being this 30-year-old type of wizard dude, I'm going to give you the truth. And the truth is that back in those days, I was living like I didn't care. I was living like I was going to die young. I was living like I just didn't have a future. I was living without hope. And I was living depressed. I was just your regular type of consumer dude with a fancy computer setup, watching a lot of porn, just fapping away, going to the school system and starting to work during those years too. And there happened this realization that I cannot handle the employment life. I just cannot handle it. It's too stressful. I can't get up in the morning. I don't have energy. I'm just anxious all the time. I can't do the work very well. I was very accurate at it, but I just felt meaningless. I just felt hopeless. And I feel stuck already in there. And I decided that, well, I'm gonna get some help. And because in Finland, army is mandatory. I got sent into this mental health program type of shit. And in that mental health program, I went through it, I got some therapy, and on top of the therapy, I started to take these fucking antidepressants. And I used two antidepressants back in those days. One of them in America, and this video is mainly targeted towards Americans, because I know that in America, antidepressant effects, they're not the same, even though the drugs are the same. Bear with me on that. So, in America, there's a drug called Celexa. I took 20 milligrams of that, so that's the max dose. And then there's Wellbutrin. I think I took 150 milligrams of that, so that's the max dose too. Or 300, I think. And I got pretty fucked up by that combination. So there happened this fucked up incident that the summer vacation came. And I took a very high dose of the psychedelic drug, not psychiatric, psychedelic drug. So that induces hallucinations, and you get fucked up psychotic. And I took this heroic dose of that, and I landed my ass in psychiatric ward for a week because of that. I got psychotic. I'm not gonna tell about it more, it was such a fucked up experience. Yeah. One of my friends remembers that shit. And there they doubled my dose of the antidepressant, and they landed my ass back in the streets, and I kept my journey on, drinking a lot of alcohol, and I became a habitual weed smoker after that, unemployed also, and just not giving a fuck. Just not giving shit. But those psychedelics, they made me realize that I have to quit taking this psychiatric drug bullshit. And I did quit that. And I was fucked up for at least a month after that. I had these, fantasies that I'm this important guy, and guys from America, like big players, I mean presidents from America, are gonna pick me up from here, helicopter type shit, and pay me for the flight tickets, and we're gonna fly to America type of game. I was completely bought into that shit. I believed that shit. And after I quit that, I had these brain saps, those antidepressants, brain saps on me. And during the time I used those drugs, I had the most fucked up dreams. In one of them, I fucking slayed, butchered this fucking dog in the dream. It was the most violent type of shit I saw in my dreams during those days. Maybe it was because of all the shit I watched and all the games I played, but man, my mana changed during those times when I used those drugs. I became so kind of unemotional, so kind of lost my interest in I lost my interest in even anime. I lost that kind of feeling in the heart. I just lost, all sensitivity. And even when fapping away, it took like 25 minutes to have an orgasm, while fucking fapping, masturbating. It was worst. It wasn't fun. But during those times, I would say that I wasn't even that, suicidal. I wasn't even in the risk of actually taking my life during those days. And I have went through depressions that are, I would say, twice, maybe triple worse than that. And it's funny that my psychologist said during those days that this is as worse as it gets. You won't get more depressed than this, so don't be afraid. But I have gotten worse depressed than that. It wasn't that bad. Now I realize, because I had all kinds of stuff I coped with during those days. And I was a heavy user of alcohol. I drank a lot. And I was getting into the mild alcoholic or semi-alcoholic type of state where I was becoming dependent on alcohol. And I drank like a couple of units every night, couple of nights a week, and then during the weekends it was something like 20 units, on top of that some weed and that sort of stuff. So I really started to have tolerance for alcohol, and I wouldn't feel even that drunk when my friends, just blanked out. I wasn't feeling even that drunk during those days, so I got worried. I got really worried that I'm going to become an alcoholic, So I went through therapy and I changed from alcohol to weed. I just became smoke weed every day type of guy. And yeah, I had quit those antidepressants a long time from that, and when I quit weed, I became so fucking anxious again and so isolated. I'm still fucking isolated. Yeah, that's my antidepressant story. Would I recommend these drugs to anybody? Well, yeah. Know what you're getting into. I used to watch back in those days a lot of videos on YouTube, by the way, just your average type of consumers telling you about it, the effects about these psychiatric drugs and all kinds of psychiatric drugs, not these drugs only, but all kinds, antipsychotics, and there's those like heavy drugs like Cyprexa and knock you out like you're a horse type of drugs for the insane, and benzodiazepine type of withdrawal symptom videos. I watched all of that kind of shit, and venlafaxine, and that was one drug I tried to I thought I was going to success to the psychiatrist that maybe I should take venlafaxine, but then I watched videos about it. I was, no, fuck no. And yeah, these drugs are very problematic because you're not really addicted to them, but they just holy shit. Yeah, life was. I was so back in those days. I was so clueless. I didn't have a fucking clue. I was watching all this negativity and all this negative bullshit media type, filling my brain with that, brainwashing me with that. I was going through the school, brainwashing that in, and all kinds of bad junk food and video games and that sort of stuff, and my shitty friends, and using a smartphone all the time and being addicted to the internet. And my life was so kind of messed a tangle, and maybe putting the antidepressant right in there just kind of put some gears into motion. But ending in that psych ward, I'm sure that I wouldn't have ended there without starting using these antidepressant drugs. I'm sure about it. I wouldn't have probably taken that. I wouldn't have probably started taken that psychedelic trip if I hadn't taken those psychiatric medications. So psychiatry is dangerous because it opens your mind to the you start to kind of accept that taking drugs is really okay. Just take those drugs. I'm gonna make you a little better and feel you a little better. But I'm gonna say that I have went through worse depressions than back in those days, like much worse depressions, and I survived. You can go through a lot without this bullshit. So keep that in mind. I don't like psychiatry at all. Thanks for watching this video.